The sci-fi genre is one that has been around for quite some time, and I don't know if you agree with me, but it seems to be expanding all the time, along with different types of spaceships and alien threats. Also comes different types of weapons. So let's look at some of the weapons that are available in the sci-fi genre, starting with the classic lightsaber from Star Wars. So they are energy-based weapons, essentially plasma blades contained within a magnetic field. The blade is powered by a kyber crystal, which gives the weapon its colour and its energy. So it can cut through almost anything except for other lightsabers, certain rare materials, or things protected by the Force. There is a few limitations with lightsabers. Primarily it is used in close combat, although they can be used to deflect blaster bolts or parry or attack from range via the Force, and obviously we do see people throw them at some points as well. So although it is typically close combat, they can be used in other ways. You can also use them for slicing through doors, cutting or deflecting energy-based projectiles. Now, it is more than just a weapon. It is symbolic of a Jedi or a Sith, and it's deeply tied to their training and their philosophy. Moving over to Star Trek, and we're going to look at phasers. So these are a laser-based energy weapon, usually handheld but also found in larger forms. They fire concentrated beams of energy that can stun, disintegrate or vaporize their target depending on the setting. It can be adjusted to stun, kill or vaporize, and also can be adjusted for range and intensity. Unlike lightsabers, they can be used at a distance and making them effective for ranged combat. Now, they're useful in a wide variety of situations because they don't require any physical skill really, not like you would need for a lightsaber, but they don't have the same inherent risk. There's no real danger if you're not trained with a phaser that you're going to hurt yourself, whereas obviously with a lightsaber you definitely could hurt yourself if you weren't trained properly. Now we're going to move over to Halo, and we're going to look at the energy sword. Now Halo is not a franchise I am very familiar with. I've not really played the games, I haven't seen the TV show, but I know that they have a weapon in the Halo series which is a glowing energy-based sword primarily used by the Covenant, especially the elites. It's similar to a lightsaber in the fact that it's an energy-based blade, but it's often used for short-range, brutal attacks. It's again a close combat weapon like a lightsaber that can deal devastating damage with a single strike, sometimes even on armoured targets. So as I said, it's used primarily for close range fighting and doesn't offer the same versatility like you would get with a lightsaber in terms of utility, so things like cutting through doors or various obstacles, but you can cut through armour with it, so it obviously has its use. Aside from just being a weapon, you can cut through armour as well. So in a lot of sci-fi TV shows you can get plasma rifles, so these are a ranged weapon that shoot bolts of superheated plasma. So these aren't like lightsabers in the fact that they offer great range and power, often designed to destroy vehicles or multiple enemies in just one shot. They're typically designed for mass destruction or against heavily armoured vehicles or enemies. They often lack precision, however, which you would get if you had something like a lightsaber, but like I said, it's for mass destruction, so I think you just shoot it in the general direction and you know it's going to destroy something, right? And then the last one we're just going to run through, and I'm going to pronounce this so wrong, and I'm really sorry. It's the Zat Niktal from Stargate SG-1. Now Stargate I watched a little bit growing up, but I haven't really watched it since, so my apologies that I've probably butchered that. So it is a weapon used by the Goa'uld, again sorry butchering that. It has 3 settings: stun, still, stun, kill and disintegrate. So again, it's very similar to what we saw from Star Trek with the phaser, that it has those three features. However, this one has disintegrate, which obviously they don't have that in Star Trek. So like phasers, it can be adjusted to deliver different effects. And again, it is a ranged weapon, so more like a blaster or a phaser. You can shoot from a distance. And if you use it correctly, you can destroy your enemy in one shot. So it usually requires more aiming and more careful handling than just a simple firearm. So maybe you need a little bit more training with this than you'd need just with a typical blaster, but not as much as you'd need for training for a lightsaber. Now, speaking of blasters, it would be remiss of me not to talk about blasters from Star Wars, as we have spoken about lightsabers. So these are energy-based firearms that shoot projectiles of concentrated plasma or energy. Now, again, these are very different to lightsabers. We haven't really seen anything that is quite as skill-based as lightsabers. These can be used at long range, and they come in many sizes and types, ranging from pistols to heavy blasters and even plasma cannons. Now, they're not as powerful as lightsabers. As I've mentioned, with a lightsaber you can definitely cut through doors, but with these blasters the raw cutting power isn't as good as it is with a lightsaber. Now, they are easier for most people to use effectively without requiring special training, but they can be very inaccurate if you haven't got the proper skills. So I don't think it's a typical point and shoot type thing. I think it's more likely that you will need a little bit of maybe skill before you actually can just use one. I have referenced a lot back to lightsabers purely because, in my opinion, of the things that I've seen and things I'm aware of, there's nothing quite like a lightsaber in other sci-fi genres. As we've mentioned, there are key differences and I've gone through them, so I'm just going to summarise those up now. So lightsabers are melee weapons, so they are close combat, whereas a lot of the other iconic sci-fi weapons, so phasers, blasters, rifles, cannons, they are ranged. You can be much further away before you start attacking. You'd actually be so close. I guess the risk is lower at that point. You're maybe a bit safer if you're using a plasma gun over a lightsaber. Symbolism is a big thing here. Lightsabers are symbolic. Your Jedi, your Sith, the colour of the lightsaber means something. It's tied to philosophy and training, a lot of this, whereas utilitarian weapons like phasers again and phasma rifles, anyone can pick those up and use them. Very little skill is needed. There's very little to basically no symbolism at all with these other weapons. So one thing that the other weapons do have, which lightsabers don't, is the versatility. The fact you can be further away. They are more powerful, more ranged weapons. Whereas lightsabers are primarily personal combat, maybe one-on-one, as opposed to taking out a mass area at once. But the lightsabers offer precision in a way that these other items just can't do. And then tactical use as well, we have to comment on that. So lightsabers are mainly for skilled combatants who are often trained in the Force, in the eyes of the Jedi or the Sith, for example. Whereas phasers, rifles, cannons can be used by practically anyone with basic training. Now, if we looked at things like risk, which we've mentioned as well, I think someone could probably cut off their hand quite easily with a lightsaber. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy to shoot yourself with a blaster or a phasma gun. I don't know. I could be wrong there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know if in any of these shows you've seen someone do that to themselves. But I feel as though the other weapons have kind of a less risk to the user in that. But that's all, guys. I just wanted to sort of really jump in and talk about the differences between lightsabers, which, to be honest with you, have always been one of my favourite weapons in sci-fi because they're so unique, because they're so fun, versus just other general guns that we have and general weapons. Like I said, lightsabers are different. You don't really see anything that I can think of off the top of my head like this in other franchises, Please, as always, do let me know if I'm wrong. I'll be more than happy to be corrected. But that's it for this video, guys. Do subscribe. We've got some really cool stuff planned for this year and going into next year. As I said, I am posting once a week at the moment, just whilst everything else is going on. So make sure that you don't miss anything we've got coming. And until next time, you take care.